Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horse Races Now podcast. Kenny and I are in studio, and we have a very special guest with us today. Kenny, I guess the best way to put this is we're going to open up a whole new world here. There's an opportunity for people to get more involved in horse ownership than ever before. This is something that's never existed before. It sounds unbelievably exciting. You're an early adopter. What do you think, Kenny? This is something pretty cool here.
Well, I'm excited. What we're going to talk about today is Morning Line.
Morning Line.
And Morning Line is an investment opportunity path for people that love horse racing where you can actually own part of a horse.
Yep.
And this is all new. So we're going to, I'd like to say, this is the Star Trek version. We're going to go where no man has ever gone.
I love it.
Before.
That's a great analogy.
And there's going to be a learning curve here. But we brought Joel Funk on with us today. And
Yep.
Joel can understand or help you all understand the details here. I'm still the horse guy. I'm still going to do what I always did. What Morning Line's going to do is give people out there the opportunity to not only buy into, but to trade parts of horses.
Okay.
So my position's unique as a trainer because when I buy horses at auction, typically I get 10% equity at each horse. So what I'm doing here is that I'm giving Morning Line some shares in some horses that I own, including Torpedo A&N, Blackout Time, Breeders' Cup, Universe that ran yesterday. Some horses that have some real high end.
Yeah.
And we've got some other horses that are question marks. Of course, every horse is a question mark.
Of course.
You never know. But I think what we're doing here could theoretically change the game.
Yeah.
I think when people get comfortable with it, for those out there that trade in stocks,
Yeah.
I think this is a stock market of trading horses. When a horse wins a big race, the share price is going to go up. When they run poorly, it's probably going to go down. And Joel can explain this much more better than I can. But I'm still the horse guy, and I think that we need to revolutionize the sport quite a bit, and I think this very well could do it.
Joel, thank you for joining us. Once again, this is Joel Funk from Morning Line. Joel, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share this with the rest of the world.
So let's start here, Joel. And Kenny did a pretty good job of laying this out. But what exactly is Morning Line, and how does it connect investing with horse racing?
Yeah, so Teague, Morning Line, simply put, is a marketplace that you can buy and sell shares of racehorses, like Kenny said, right? So now, you as the investor, you as the audience out there, you can benefit from the economics that only a horse owner can benefit, right? You can participate in the ownership of these amazing horses, and you can get a share of the revenue, the purse money, the breeding, the sales, everything.
So what's pretty cool about this, Joel, from what I can understand, Torpedo Anna is a perfect example. Torpedo Anna is not going to race anymore, but you're able to still buy a share on her breeding rights to where you can participate in her foals and moving forward. That's pretty awesome. And I think the people that Torpedo Anna has so many fans out there, I think people are going to be nuts over this. But there's also, as you mentioned, Blackout Times on there, a horse that's still going to be participating in very large purses. So it doesn't matter what the morning odds are. So if you're 10-1, 21, 31, we don't care. We're participating in revenue sharing here from the purse. Correct, Joel?
Correct. It's all related to the purse, yeah.
So how did this come about? Where did the idea for Morning Line come from? What sort of inspiration sparked this whole idea?
So true story. I went home one day, and I've always been a huge horse fan, right? Wanted to get into ownership, and I went home one day and I told my wife I have a great idea for an investment. And she said, "What's that?" I said, "We're going to buy a horse." She said, "We're not buying a horse. What are you talking about?" And she's like, "We got 5 kids to put through college."
Yep.
Right? She's like, "We're not buying a horse." I said, "But it's going to be so much fun. We'll go, we'll go along the journey with the horse and the kids will love it and everything like that." She goes, "We're not buying a horse." And I was pretty bummed about it. She goes, "Are you serious about this?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I really want to get into this game. I think it's fantastic. I think there's so much to offer." And then, so she's like, "Well, we're not doing that." I said, "Fine, I'll find another way." Okay. So little did she know that I'm like, I'm going to, start thinking about this, because I was like, there's got to be other people in my position that would love to, get into this game, but either financially can't support, going to the auction and buying hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million horses, and then the ongoing capital calls and expenses and things like that. But also want to benefit from the investment side, right? And so I started thinking, and looked at all the other syndicates out there, all the other opportunities, and I was like, something's missing. And I started thinking about a horse, and I started like analyzing it in terms of an investment. And I was like, I really think a horse is similar to a company in a stock market, right? So you've got your, let's say your IPO, okay? And that's your initial price offering. But then you have the analysts come on CNBC or Fox News or whatever, and they talk about the stock, right? Well, you have that same thing going on in horses. You have analysts come on, they talk about a horse's pedigree, they talk about horse's performance, things like that. And then based on public perception, right, in the stock market, a company and its earnings reports, a company can go up and down and trade and whatnot. I think you can make that correlation to a horse very easily. And depending on how it performs on the track and depending on how people perceive it, right? I mean, Teague, Kenny, you and I, we can all look at a horse differently and see different things. And so what I think a horse is worth versus what you think a horse is worth, well, let's figure out a way to kind of put that out there. And that's what we've done with Morning Line. Like, you get the opportunity now to manage your own portfolio, right? And yes, the market price is set, but after that, or the IPO is set, but after that, the marketplace dictates the price based on what someone's willing to pay for it in the bid-ask table and how it's performing on the track and what kind of dividends are being handed out.
Pretty cool, man. So, you took this idea and then I don't know if it's several years, a few years, whatever it is. Now all of a sudden we have Morning Line, which I agree with Kenny. This could change the game, if done correctly. Walk us through the experience for someone who wants to invest in a racehorse through Morning Line. How does it work start to finish?
Yes. So, Teague, this has taken 3.5 years to build. It's not something that happened overnight by any means. A lot of time, a lot of effort, big team behind me that went into this. Tom Taff is one of my co-founders. Tom, Kenny knows Tom from way back, but Tom's a champion trainer, a jockey over in Ireland. His expertise in horses and the game itself is unbelievable, truly. And as we built this thing, we thought about every little scenario that could come up, right? I mean, over 3.5 years, I think I've answered every single question that I could, depending, based on skepticism, based on how it works, things like that. So definitely prepared for all of this here. So the way it works here is you come on to morningline.io, all right, and you get started. And you start to set up your own account. Now, this is, like I said, this is like Robinhood, setting up a brokerage account for trading securities, okay? So each horse on this platform is a registered security, right? What that means is this is SEC compliant. The platform that's being traded on is an alternative trading system, an ATS, which is licensed and approved by the SEC. Our partner in this, liquidity.io, is a broker-dealer, so it's 100% above board, legitimate. You come onto the platform, you go through our KYC AML process. That's KYC, know your customer, and anti-money laundering. So we're not going to let anybody on the platform that is a shady character, let's say, okay? So we protect all investors knowing that you are trading with, upstanding individuals. All right,
Joel, you guys are using the Clear Check and the TSA. The same platform that TSA uses too, right? As far as checking people beforehand.
Teague, it's very, very robust. So it's like sitting across from a banker at a bank, right? You're opening up a bank account. You got to present your ID. We do a facial recognition right on the phone. Turn your head left, turn your head center, turn your head right. It captures all of that. It makes sure that your ID matches the address that you're putting in. We've got a whole team in the background doing the background checks. So you go through that process, you get approved, and then we made it really simple to deposit into your account. So you can use credit card, debit card, ACH, or wire, and you can deposit whatever amount you want. $10, $20. We have people depositing thousands of dollars, right? And then on the marketplace, you will see all of the shares on the left-hand side, all of the horses, all the assets on the left-hand side with the share price next to each one of them. And then you can go and decide which ones you want to buy, right? And what's really neat, what we've done is we've taken the asset page, or we've broken down the asset, each horse, and we've provided you an overview on all their pedigree. We've broken down the sire, the dad, the mare, the mom, and even sometimes we go so far to do second generation as well, to give people an idea and kind of educate them on where does this horse come from, and maybe kind of, what are the expectations. Now, we're not guaranteeing anything, right? Just like any investment, there's no guarantee. This is completely on your shoulders to determine what you want to invest in. But once you do that, right, we also, in addition to the pedigree, we provide training, workout reports. We provide past performances. So you've got all the knowledge at your fingertips. Okay, it's like reading a program at the track, but we've kind of simplified it and dumbed it down a little bit so that you don't get overwhelmed by all the information. And then what's really cool too, and Kenny's team's done a great job helping us with this, but anytime, a workout is filmed, right? Or we got videos from the farm or things like that. We have a place on the site for each asset page. We upload those videos, right? Teague, we want to bring people into the ownership experience. We want them to feel what it's like to be an owner and to see all the backstage access and things like that. So then once that happens, right, you buy your share, you will then obviously, and now the horse is going to run, okay? The horse is racing. You get to participate, I think we alluded to this earlier, in the purse, right? So it doesn't matter if that horse goes off at even odds. It doesn't matter if it's, and sometimes when you're betting, when a horse is even on favorites, it's hard to make money, right?
Absolutely.
That's not the case with Morning Line. The odds don't matter. So why bet? Own with Morning Line. You get to participate in the purse. And then what happens, let's say $100,000 is won, Morning Line wins $100,000, right? We distribute $75,000 of that, 75%, to the owners of those shares pro rata, okay? So we keep a 25% management fee. In addition to that, if let's say the horse had a bad race, or you're like, oh, the horse won and I had a nice dividend, but now I want to cash out, and you put that horse on the marketplace and you sell it, and another person can come and buy it. And again, that'll dictate the market price. So I think Kenny talked about this too. If a horse does well, right, chances are the market price on that horse will go up, because now the future is bright. Now it's looking at what races is going to win next, and is there a breeding candidate and things like that, because you get to participate all along the way.
Well, let me interject. So one of the things about this is that, like, for example, we had the first horse we put on, or one of the early ones, the first winner was Green Light Day. And so he wins, and then we ran him in a stake at Laurel, and it was soft turf course, and he came out of the race with a bowed tendon. And so that horse's stock value, it disappeared.
Right.
He's going to be made into a riding horse at this stage.
Gotcha.
But that is one of the risks on this. And then I kind of envision with what we're doing here is, at some point in time, we will put Morning Line as a link on the front page of Horse Races Now, where when you get a notification from Horse Races Now, you can simply click on the link to Morning Line and go right into your account or your horse ownership.
Yep, your portfolio.
Yeah, and then we need to do some work on the coding side to add that link, but I don't think it'd be overly complicated.
No.
But then people will be able to engage with the workouts, and then they'll get they'll get it from Horse Races Now. They'll also get it from Morning Line. But through all that, this first group of horses, and I'm in some ways kind of like the guinea pig here. And I'm the one that's kind of like sticking my neck out a little bit. Let's try this and see how it goes. And I'm excited about that. It's a little trepidation. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm always been open to new ideas. Horse Races Now was a new idea, and
sure,
we've gone a long way.
Yep.
The yearling market this past year, I have got probably 100 2-year-olds or 100 yearlings that are going to be turning two. Let's see how the first few months on this goes. And I would like to think I could take that whole group and put a percentage of them on morning line, and then give everybody a walking video of each horse that they see, and obviously pedigrees, and there'll be different pricing. Out of that group, probably 10 to 15, maybe 20% of those horses will be stakes quality horses. That means the other 80% aren't going to be.
Right.
And so when you're going into this, you've got to think in those numbers. I would say 80% of the horses that we start off with as yearlings are going to win.
Sure.
Maybe might even be 90% or higher. But then there are those that don't ever start, and then there are those that you're gonna learn a lot out there on dealing with horses. Some horses. Well, I always say the rule of 5. For every 5 you go into, one horse can't run, one refuses to, one gets hurt. Didn't I do this?
Oh yeah, you did.
On the show?
Yep.
One's a nice horse that's an overachiever, and one's a really nice horse that helps you, forget the others.
For the other 4.
And these others are given good homes on the other side of things.
Sure.
But it'll be the same with morning line. You can't go into the expectation that they're all going to be good. You're going to have the average horses, the one that can't breathe, or the one that has a tendon injury, or the one that they have a whole list of things that goes right and goes wrong.
Yep.
And so when you invest in morning line, you're going to get a firsthand experience of all those details. And I do see there'll be people that go into morning line with an open mind, and they put a modest amount of money in, that someday they decide, I want to own my own, and I want to do it on my own. And I think that's actually where I think that what we're doing here is going to be unique, and then over time there will be people that move from this level on to the next level. And that's I've had people over the years that bought a 20% share of Magdalena horses, and next thing you know, they've got 30 of their own. And so, but you've got to learn about the idiosyncrasies and the terminology and everything that we deal with in horse racing to get there. And I think that this is a really good window or door to go through to help you learn, to help you get to the next level, and fan participation directly with an investment. And it's really unique. It's exciting, and there'll be a learning curve. We're going to learn some things. We're going to make some mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we know exactly how this is going to go. We don't. It's going to be a new frontier.
Could be really cool though. Joel, I'm curious. So Kenny he said, listen, we may have 100 2-year-olds that go on the platform. How do we decide how much these shares cost?
Yeah. So, and that was like that IPO piece I talked about earlier, right? So, essentially you look at what Kenny paid for them at the sale, right? So there's a starting point.
That makes sense.
And then there's a little bit of a markup because, we build in, 2-3 years of training keep in there. Okay. Not on the entire horse, but whatever percentage is on the horse, right? On the platform. You build that in on a pro rata basis. And essentially then, 50,000 shares, okay, equals 100% of a horse on the marketplace. So if there's 1% available on the marketplace, there's 500 shares. And then you figure out, okay, what valuation are we putting on the horse? Divided by the 500, and you get your share price.
Makes sense.
So when I buy a yearling or I'm involved in a young horse, then there's usually a base sale price. And then I've got to anticipate the costs because I'm going to be selling 1%, but at the same time, I still have to pay the bills on that share.
Correct.
And then I don't get any payment for the bills on that share. I have to absorb that over sometimes several years, but at the same time, I have to sit down and really think through how do you value them, and what's too much and what's too little. In the case of Torpedo Anna, we valued her at $10 million, but there's, if somebody invests in it, there's a very good possibility over the course of time we could get $10 million back racing or selling foals.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, but there's an investment in all that. There's a stud fee, and none of this, this piece of her, this small piece of her was my ownership. Doesn't affect the other partners at all. And then one thing I'll say, if you come in on these, the access is going to be somewhat limited. I mean, we're not going to be able to let everybody come to the paddock. You're not going to be able to come to the stable regularly. I can't say that that's happening out of respect for the people that own the other parts of the horse.
Sure.
So that's something I don't want anybody to misconstrue, that they're going to be able to, come to the barn or come to the paddock. That's not really the way this is going to work. I know my racehorse is a completely different setup than this,
right?
And that's one of the problems that they do have is that the multitude of people that want to actually get in there and feel and touch. To do that, you're going to need to buy your own horses.
Joel, why don't you speak to that a little bit? Because I know that we spoke earlier and you were saying that you guys have ways you're going to attack this.
Yeah. So we've thought about, everything. We thought about the thousands of people showing up in the winner's circle and things like that. And that's not going to happen with Morning Line because we don't believe that personally, right? Someone who spends $1,000 on the platform versus $100,000, they should have the same rights and access. That's not fair. Okay. So on Morning Line, and as we evolve this thing, like Kenny said, this is a learning process. We're still growing. We're still adding things. We have M-Line Coin, and that's going to be released here soon. Think about it like frequent flyer mile program with airlines, okay? So as you trade, as you sell, as you collect, as you participate in Morning Line, you're going to earn M-Line Coin, right? And we're going to have leaderboards, and we're going to have, people can see how your portfolio is trading, and you can track other people's portfolios and things like that. But as you earn these coins, this M-Line coin, you're going to be able to redeem that for in real life experiences. Now, these are boxy, like Morning Line will arrange for all this, right? But you're going to be able to use your M-Line coin to redeem that. So if you want a paddock pass, or you want a box seat, or you want, winner circle opportunities, like you have to earn your way. Now we have a very, very limited opportunity, option or tickets to start with, but you can still, be a top participant in Morning Line and earn your way there. Not pay for it. We'll take care of that. But earn your way there as a big participant in the platform.
That's pretty cool.
That was news to me.
Yeah,
I'm learning too.
This Morning Line coin's going to be pretty cool because I like the airline miles analogy there, Joel, because that makes sense to me. Somebody that uses a lot of airline miles, that'd be really cool. It's just a reward way. The more you spend, I mean, if you spend $1 million on your Southwest card, you're getting, however many points that is, and free flights and travel. That makes a lot of sense, and I think people that play in this world will appreciate that.
And Teague, I want to say one thing about that too, because this is really interesting. So just like the horses are tradable assets, right? Let's say you earned in our store box seat for 4 at the Kentucky Derby, okay? But you can't go. You can trade that asset on our platform too and make money on that.
Oh, that's cool.
And sell that to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of this will be done through contests, leaderboards, tournaments, that type of thing, right?
The gamification elements of Morning Line are going to blow people out of the water. Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Explain that more. Same thing. I'm learning as I go here.
Yeah. So the whole, we want to incentivize people to trade, right? That's how full disclosure, that's how Morning Line makes money, right? Mm-hmm. Every time you trade, okay, there's a transaction fee, just like a StubHub, right? There's a transaction fee. So 3% buy side, 3% sell side every time you sell your trade, your mm-hmm. share. Well, we're incentivizing people to trade because the more you trade, the more you participate, you're earning M-Line coin, right? Mm-hmm. You're earning these events. You're participating in our tournaments or in contests. We're gonna make it so there's a fantasy sports aspect to it. So let's say you've got 5 horses in your portfolio and someone has another 5 or 10 or whatever. We're gonna have contests on the side where you can compete against your friends for a weekend, right? And whose portfolio outperforms whose portfolio. There's all kinds of gamification elements that we're bringing to the table that is really going to be the intellectual property that Morning Line changes the game with. The investment side of things, the trading is cool, but it's going to go through the roof with the gamification elements.
Kenny, that's what I think is pretty neat because your younger demo who's maybe 25 to 30 now, who is going to be in that world that can spend this money to do this.
Right.
That's what they're really into. And the gamification piece is something that I think is going to be really cool as this thing evolves. And if it's done correctly, it could be really awesome because they love that kind of stuff right now, that particular demographic. So I think that's genius. So hopefully all that works out.
Yeah, we have a whole plan laid out. So it's quite intense, actually.
So Joel, do you think that platforms like Morning Line, listen, the problem is if you have a great idea, you might not be the only one. But do you think that they could really bring new fans and new people to the sport?
Yeah, that's what honestly we're trying to do. We believe that this is going to open up. We're providing access to, again, let's use Torpedo Anna, Blackout Time. Where can you go buy a share of Torpedo Anna for $300 a share, right? Fans who love this animal, who followed her story, I mean, now they can now really participate in it. And I just think it's amazing what we're being able to do. Obviously, with Kenny is a huge help, you know, as our brand ambassador and you know, first to the table here. So we're going to be able to, you know, change the way people look at investing in horses, I believe. And that's the whole goal here. I mean, some of our horses on the platform, as you can see, you can buy for as low as a cup of coffee, which is pretty unique. And obviously others are more expensive, but still not out of the price range of most, you know. So and then with our gamification elements and getting people to the tracks and you know, apart from the M-Line coin stuff too. Apart from the M-Line coin stuff, apart from the M-Line coin stuff, we're going to be able to, you know, have our own independent morning line events at the tracks and in big events, you know. So we're gonna really, you know, provide access and change the game that way.
Kenny, here's something that I think is cool. So there was a moment there when Torpedo Anna would run, and she'd basically even money. Mm-hmm. Betting on her didn't make any sense because you weren't going to make any money because everybody knew she was going to win. Well, this is pretty cool because you can go in the morning of a big race, buy a share, and participate in the purse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Well, one of the reasons I'm motivated to do this because I've said all along we need to figure out a way to grow the sport, and so people can actively participate. And you know, I created horse races now because we've got to figure out how to grow the sport. We've got to make it unique and make it different. I don't know how they do the math on Morning Line, and so much as I know that from my perspective, the horse side, I try to invest money wisely in horses that I buy for people. And this, I think if people trust my judgment to spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, they would respect my judgment on spending a micro share.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, it's exciting. It's like I said, I'm wrapping my head around. I don't see myself being a gamer. Yeah. You know, the gamification is probably not going to be my department as an older guy, but yeah, the younger kids.
Oh, they're going to love it.
I think that'd be great. And for racetracks out there, we want to be able to show all these races. Yeah. Through whether it's horse races now or Morning Line. And we want racetracks to actually, any way we can get racetracks to show their content. The way Keeneland, and this is a message to the racetracks out there, the way Keeneland allows us to show Keeneland in the paddock, or at least their whole entire simulcast show, and they're on YouTube. Mm-hmm. YouTube, we catch that link and we put it in there. And we really need every racetrack to do that because it'll make this whole thing grow in the sense that if somebody invests in a horse, they need to be able to watch that race.
That's right.
Yeah. And if they watch that race, a better chance they're going to bet on that race.
Yeah.
And so all that kind of ties it together. So there's still a lot of work to do here. We can get the data out there to people, but the video is going to be one of the things that we're going to be working on over the next several years.
So, Joel, let's get a real world example here. Let's say Blackout Time, okay, which obviously is a horse that's very well known, one of Kenny's best horses. If I wanted to participate, I could participate right now, today, at $186 per share. And there's what, 500 shares? How many shares available? 500
shares. And Teague, we also have a distribution schedule too to protect the marketplace. So we're not all putting out 500 all at once.
Got it.
100 first, right? And by the way, again, full transparency. Like, we are not hiding anything on the platform, under blackout time, in the asset page. You will see the full distribution schedule when those shares are coming out, right? And that protects market value. It also gives us a real accurate and true valuation of the horse, of what someone's willing to pay for it. So that's really interesting too.
So you keep emphasizing being SEC compliant, and quite honestly, you've thrown out a few inside trading terminology that kind of goes over my head. But explain to me why that's so important to how it protects the investors.
Yeah, I think so. The industry, to me, has been interesting in the fact that all these micro shares out there, all these syndicates out there, what they're really selling is the security. And I think the SEC took a long time to understand truly what that meant, right? Because they're like, oh, I'm buying a horse. Like, I don't think they really attributed that to an investment or
makes sense.
a regulatory asset. But when you break it down, okay, at the end of the day, yes, some are buying horses for the experience and the fun, right? Some are just writing them off as entertainment, okay? But there is an expectation of a profit, right? And at that point, then it does become a security. So why that is so important, and what we're trying to set the bar on here, is that when you come on a morning line, right, this has never been able to be done before in terms of the trading aspect, because normally, and I don't want to get too technical, but I am a lawyer and this is my background, but normally Reg D assets, which these are at the moment, okay, they have a year holding period on them, meaning you cannot trade them, okay, or sell them to anybody else outside of a year, right? What we've been able to do is crack the code with the ATS, an alternative trading system, that as long as you are internally on our system and register within our system, you can buy today, sell tomorrow.
Wow.
That's never been done before, right? And so that is a big game changer in terms of how to treat or handle these securities. And that's why the SEC component here is so important and really fundamentally instrumental in what we're doing.
Joel, talk to me about insurance. Let's say I get involved in one of these horses, and God forbid something awful happens. Is there anything that covers my investment?
Yeah, so especially on the horses that we own. So actually, this already happened. We had our first filly, Love Tempo. She was a Churchill out of a Aquamarine deep impact mare. Really, we're high on this horse, and we have insurance on every horse that we own, okay, on the platform, and we insure it up to the ownership percentage that we have. Unfortunately, she had to be humanely euthanized, horrible injury while training. We had 4 vet reports. 3 said, she can't even breed, because if she tries to breed, she could bleed out, right?
Yep.
So unfortunately, we had to put her down. It was heartbreaking, but from an investment standpoint, our investors didn't lose because we had insurance on that, and we paid that out. So not only are these securitized assets, they're insured assets. Now that's also very interesting too, from a, protecting the investor. And then in terms of like Kenny's horses, right? So we don't have ownership in Kenny's horses, right? He's licensed us the right to use the name, image, goodwill, everything like that regarding the horse. We are working with our insurance broker right now and almost have it almost done, where we're going to insure our 1% of blackout time, or 1% of Anna, or 1% of whatever horse is on the platform. So again, if something were to happen to that horse, our investors are protected.
Yeah, and they're insured up to the point that you guys have ownership on your platform.
Yep.
Makes sense.
And the value and valuations that are, we try to make the valuation or the insurance valuation close to current market value as much as we can.
So Joel, you mentioned Kenny's arrangement, which is a licensing deal. Makes sense to me. But you also mentioned that you guys own horses. Now, do you have full ownership in some of these horses, or how does that work?
No, what we have 20 to 30% ownership stakes in these horses that are on our platform. I think
Got
there's
it.
6 right now, right?
Got it.
We didn't want 100% ownership. We wanted to diversify the portfolio. We wanted to give people an opportunity to get more than less. And, I think horse racing in general, I mean, the statistics that Kenny shared earlier were spot on. And it's exactly what Tom Taff also talks about within our organization, how, you buy 10 and maybe one is, decent or maybe 3 run and one is a stakes race, right? So we go into that with that mindset, knowing that not all these horses are going to be performers. So we would rather have bits and bobs of a bunch than 100% of a few. And so the way it works then is, like I said, if we have 20% ownership, then there's 10,000 shares available of that horse. And we insure 20% of it, and then we only deal with 20%. And, we're a minority owner. We're along for the ride. And our owners or our investors on the platform, they understand that. I mean, again, in every single asset page, there is point-by-point operating agreements and licensing agreements and vet reports and everything you can think of to, understand what you're getting, distribution, payouts, dividend sheets, all kinds of things.
So perfect world. Walk me through what the future looks like. Every horse is part of Morning Line?
What a dream, right? I mean, can you imagine 1% of every single horse in the Kentucky Derby lining up to all 20, and everyone in the fan and Churchill is sitting there with their phones out, and they're getting a piece of every single horse getting a part of the $5 million purse.
Be a way to grow the sport, Kenny.
Wow, that'd be amazing. Yeah, that would be. And I think I think you get ownership groups to like I said, we're the guinea pig here. We're going to try to figure out how to do this. And I see, let's see how this first group of horses we offered out there. I know that we did some that are running now, and then this group just went on, including the Torpedo, Small Piece, Blackout Time. University ran second in the Street Cinch yesterday, and Very Connected who ran third. But I kind of envision before the end of the year, we'll probably gather up all these 2-year-olds that I've got parts in and figure out pricing on all of them and, put them all out there where people can try to prospect on horses that are what I'd call undrawn cards. You don't know what you're going to, there are going to be a lot of really interesting horses, some that are expensive, some that aren't. And, they can go through the whole process that I go through every year when we gather a group of young horses and try to come up with superstars.
And Kenny, you mentioned Greenlight Day earlier. That was such a great example because, as you know, his first time out, he was 6th, I think, as a Colonial. And the share price was, I think, $2.78 a share. Mm-hmm. And then he went out and you tried him on the grass and he won his maiden, $70,000 maiden, and that was our first winner for Morning Line. And his share jumped up to $4.70 a share, right? Yeah. And somebody in a 2 minutes time doubled their portfolio value, right? Went from $500 to $1,200. Also got a 18% dividend on that return. I mean, it was incredible to see, and I think. And I use that example of Churchill Downs and everyone, having a piece of the Kentucky Derby. But hey, it's going to become a reality on Friday when Blackout Time takes the post here, and you're sitting in the stands of Breeders' Cup and go get a share of Blackout Time. Yeah,
that share could quadruple.
Absolutely, 100%.
If he wins.
You never know.
Yeah. And he's going into that race in really good order.
Joel, I've got a question here, and hopefully this doesn't come off as insider trading or anything like that. But if you pay attention to the Horse Races Now podcast, Kenny has made you money. If you pay attention, he gives you who's going to win. He gave you the Derby winner. He gives you his horses who are going to win. I'm telling you, if you listen to the horses he tells you, you bet these horses appropriately, you're making money. We had Brendan Walsh on. He gave us a couple tips that were winners that if you paid attention, you won.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of exciting, even on our podcast here, Kenny, as these yearlings start to get older, that you're going to be talking about some of these horses that are going to do well and whatnot. And if you're paying attention to what we're saying, you can start investing in Morning Line and really start making some money on the back end of this thing. Am I right, Joel?
100%. I mean, and the beautiful thing, and I think Kenny will tell you too, like he can tell you who's going to win, but it's horse racing. Anything can happen, right?
Yeah. I'm with you, but what I'm getting, we have a track record here.
Morning line, right? That's the great thing about morning line. We have our own perceptions, and you either want to take that advice or you don't, right? That's up to you. That's what's so cool. Like you're in control.
Yeah.
Buy, sell, trade, own the game, right? Like you get to control your own destiny basically with morning line. If
you're willing to bet on the horse, why not invest in the horse?
And that's, I think, Joel's point, right? Yeah, it kind of could replace betting in a lot of ways, especially these horses that are very low odds. I mean, what a better way to participate than participate in the purse?
It's a legal form of betting. Like this is not betting, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to go across the globe with this because this is Sharia law compliant. And they're not betting. They're trading securities legally.
Yeah. Yeah. And Joel, this isn't going to end with horse racing either. This is going to move into other sports and be something that, can you imagine soccer fans, over and wherever across the pond get up ownership in their soccer group, their team.
Next thing you know, they'll give horse trainers NIL deals.
Oh, well, hey, there's a little bit of money out there in NIL right now, Kenny.
I noticed.
Joel, where do you want to leave us here? As our listeners take all this in, your email is joel@morningline.io. We encourage them to reach out if they have questions. Where do you want to leave our listeners here?
Yeah, I just think this is a new way of looking at the sport. I really hope it's going to drive more fans. We're working, guys, on ways to, so right now it's for accredited investors only, okay? So that's, $1 million in earnings or $200,000 if you're an individual or $300,000 in income if you're a married couple. But good news, guys, changes on the way. We're almost there. This will be Reg CF, so anybody can participate as long as you go through KYC AML, and that's really going to open up the doors, I think. And I would just encourage you to give us a try, right? I know it's new. We're trying to make it so easy for people to experience this great sport that we all love, and we're really trying to bring in new fans into the game. So, try it out, and Kenny said, we got some really good horses on the platform right now. I don't know anywhere else you can get a share of Anna for $300. So I think it's really special, unique. And other owners like Kenny, there's an opportunity here, right? You can use this as a cap management tool. You can buy and sell just like anyone else. It's a new way to manage your capital, better deploy your cash to maximize your stable, and I think this industry as a whole, there's not a great place for liquidity for anybody. And I think Morning Line solves that problem. So, we're just really excited about the future. And I think this is just the starting point.
Is there an age limit for someone to go onto the site and invest? Like, do you have to be 21, 18? There were 18. No restrictions on states.
No restriction on states because this is not gambling, right? So it's an investment. But if you're old enough to open up a bank account and have a brokerage account, you can have a Morning Line account.
Nice.
Yep.
Joel, this is exciting stuff, man. What's the story of the silks behind you there?
Yeah, I'll show you here. So when we do have horses running, right, that's what you'll see on the track. And there's a little bit of a branding and an idea there, but the shield in the middle, I think, emphasizes power and strength and innovation. And that's
pretty cool.
We decided on, and we're excited about hopefully running some of these horses in our colors here one day. And then what we envision too is probably sponsoring races and really getting the name out there. And I think during Breeders' Cup too, you're going to see, hopefully everywhere you look, you're going to see Morning Line in advertisements and banner ads and podcasts and all kinds of things. So there's going to be a lot of coverage around Breeders' Cup, and we're going to be out there supporting Blackout Time. So we're excited.
Entries, and we made the entry this morning, so we entered today, and looks like it's going to be a 9-horse field.
What, this is Blackout Time?
Blackout Time.
What race?
Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Oh, okay.
So we've got Ted Noffey to beat, or we'll see.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, we have to improve. I mean, we've got to move up 3 or 4 lengths off our last race, and Ted Noffey, exceptionally good horse right now, probably in line to be champion 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But we really felt like, and Lance Gasaway and Brookdale Racing own the majority of that horse. But we talked, and you don't get many opportunities to make a horse champion, and if he wins this race, we'll be champion 2-year-old. So that'd be pretty cool.
More than pretty cool.
Yeah, Morning Line have a champion in his first. That'd be pretty good. That's a pretty good kickstart there, Joel.
Yeah. The other thing too is, like, even after this race, Kenny, like, going along the Kentucky Derby Trail at blackout time is just going to be an exceptional user experience for our investors.
Well, and there's several horses that I put up there that I think are all headed in that direction. We've got oh gosh, I could go on the list of several of them. Universe obviously ran yesterday. Grand Slam Sam is a horse that I think has got a really high ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I think Liberty National's on there, right? That horse wants to run all day. I didn't put anything on there or offer anything to Morning Line that I thought was a horse that was going to go down.
Yeah.
They're all
everything trending upward.
I thought that there's a real upside with these horses here, and look, it's not an exact science, and so we don't know which one, but they're all with a real chance and some really solid stuff. And there's some other ones I didn't put on there that may end up on there. Like, I was thinking this morning, why didn't we put Take Charge Milady on there, who's Grade 1 placed, and
yeah,
she's coming back for her 4-year-old year. A filly that ran in the Kentucky Oaks, had a little foot issue that we were dealing with in the spring, but that filly could be next level. I think she, and very, very possibly could go into the older filly handicap division, which we just lost Torpedo Anna as a star in.
Yep.
And then Mystic Dan. At some point, I'll probably talk to Lance and Sherilyn Gasaway about whether they would want to offer up a piece of him. Whole nother thing there. I don't own part of Mystic Dan myself, so I can't do it.
Gotcha.
But that horse is, there's still some races in his future.
Pretty
Taken by the
good.
Wind is on there. She's on the Oaks Trail.
Who's that?
Taken by the Wind.
Yeah, Taken by the Wind. Yeah, we've got to get
She's
her
on
back
there.
to the races. She'll probably run the end of the month. Yeah.
She's on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, it's really exciting stuff.
Kenny, what's your final thoughts on Morning Line for our listeners?
Well, look, they'll be learning like I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
My focus is on the horses, of course, and I want to stay there. Don't send me any emails asking me any questions, because I'm going to be.
Right.
I really want to continue to focus in on the horses, which I'm going to do. But people understand. Well, I actually tend to be a bit out there, and I do things differently, and in some ways that's great, and sometimes it's a little nervous, okay, well, should I do this? Should I? I'm not necessarily conservative. I want to change the game. I don't want to, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're never going to go anywhere. So I really am excited about seeing how this goes.
Sure.
I'm really excited for this experience and this trip we're going to go on with this. And, I think there's, with Joel's expertise in the markets and his expertise in knowing the SEC and all that, I feel comfortable with it.
Right.
We're gonna hopefully there'll be others that someday say, hey, let's do that as well, or actually maybe they won't, because you said it took several years to put all this together. But my focus is to continue to be buy good horses, have my team manage those horses to the best of their ability, and for those out there that want to be a part of that, this is a really great chance for them to do something like that.
Look, we're an open book. Anything you want to know, we have it in our asset page. Please contact us. Look out for us. We've already got adopters on the platform. We have trading going on right now. It's live. It's active. Users are, so far seeing a nice return on their investment so far. So let's keep it going. And
stay tuned for the front page link on the Horse Races Now app. I mean, we've got some coding to do to add that link in there. And Joel, I know I would want to make that so that it was seamless. Mm-hmm. So that when you click the link, if you're already inside Morning Line, that it seamlessly takes you to your portfolio. And then End of the year, expect that, like I said, I need to wrap my head around all the young horses that we've aggregated from the sales in July, August, September, October. But I think this, like I said, let's get through the first couple of months here. And by the end of the year, everybody look out for maybe the entire group of young horses that we've got together. And with, you'll be able to look at videos, sales histories, obviously pedigrees, things like that. That would be the next stage of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You guys know Hard Knocks for the NFL?
Oh, yeah.
Right? They follow a team. Mm-hmm. This is what I want for Morning Line. Like Hard Knocks for horses. Like you get the behind the scenes, the access. I want people checking this app. The first thing, the last thing they check at night and the first thing they check in the morning. How's my horse doing? Where my horse racing? How did it work out? What video did I get today? Like I want this to be so addicting that people can't take it, can't turn it off.
Well, I think that's kind of where horse races now is on from the app standpoint. I think people use that religiously. So if we can merge the two somehow, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, Morning Line doesn't have its own app.
So it is the version 1 is built. We decided not to release it yet until after Breeders' Cup because, as you guys know, with apps, a lot can go wrong. Mm-hmm. So we wanted people just to keep onboarding the way they are right now, and you can use your phone or you can desktop onboarding. But after Breeders' Cup, look out for version 1 of the app, and I'm already building version 2, and that's where all the gamification, that's where the push notifications, that's where the videos, all the stuff's coming out. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, by the time Kentucky Derby rolls around next year, and as we get going, Q1 of 2026, I think Morning Line is going to be a pretty addictive download on the App Store, both Apple and Android, by the way.
Nice,
awesome. Yeah. Joel, thank you so much for joining us. I think our listeners are going to absolutely love this episode.
Thank you so much for having me, and please reach out.
I'll see you at the races.
See you at the races. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and if you feel so inclined, maybe give us a nice comment. That goes a long way for us. Thank you for listening to Horse Races Now.
Horse Races Now, the app to follow horse racing at over 1,200 tracks worldwide. View entries and results. Get notifications on your favorite horses, jockeys, trainers, racetracks, and owners. Users set up and revise notifications like live video at the gate, call to post, entries, results replays, etc.